Yo, what's good, everybody? Welcome back to another webinar. So today is obviously Sunday. It's a brand new week. We're about to approach a brand new month, the month of February. Hopefully, everybody had a great trading month of January. Caught a lot of moves. Markets overall for January were pretty clean. A lot of great moves you could have potentially capitalized on. So this webinar is going to be a little bit shorter than normal. I was in contact with my internet people and they're gonna pretty much come out and fix my internet. So we'll have like normal length webinars over the next few days starting tomorrow. But anyways, other than that, guys, we're pretty much gonna do the breakdown. The webinar is gonna be maybe like 30 minutes long. So I'll end it like around 10 o'clock. We'll do the breakdown like always, and I'll get some of your questions answered. If you ever have any other questions at any other time, you can just hit me up on Discord. But pretty much let's break down gold, GJ, and silver. So I took a quick peep already at the markets, and it looks like it's going to be a very interesting week. We're trading at a very at some few levels that we need to pay a lot of attention to. So gold, obviously being a new week, Sunday, you always want to start off on the weekly time frame. Then you start working your way down as always. So gold is going to be a little bit interesting because gold clearly on the weekly time frame, a big rejection of 1830, well, initially 1850, which is that area where I had been calling we need to pay a lot of attention to because we could see a big bearish reaction out of this area. Did I expect it to be this big? No, definitely not, but it happens. So now on the weekly time frame, if we look at gold, gold actually ended up closing under 1797, which is another major area of support and resistance, as you guys can see over here. So now that gold on the weekly time frame has actually closed under, we could definitely potentially see more gold shorts. Now it's going to be a little bit how would I want to say, you want to approach these areas very carefully, just because once we start breaking things down to the lower time frame, such as a daily, what we could see here is that there is daily support along this area here. And yesterday's or Friday's daily candle, the way it closed was a big rejection and they lost momentum towards the 1786 level of support. So obviously, if gold breaks under the support, then we want to see gold initially come down to this area here. So like, let's call it 1765, 1760, that area there, which is a pretty big move. But as long as 1786 maintains, then we could see gold actually go right back up. Now, the way momentum and everything is playing out so far, and the fact that gold again had closed under 1797, and the weekly had a very strong bearish closure, I do see gold continuing to potentially drop. Now, how we could potentially capitalize on a gold drop is all really based off the 4-hour here. Really what I would like to see for me to want to take a short, because again, these are areas that are pretty risky when you're taking trades. Like look what happened last time when gold hit this area. It broke right back above 1797. Even when it did come back down and retest 1797 multiple times, it continued to actually trade higher from that point on. So what I'm going to be waiting for is pretty much one of two things, obviously, right? Well, let's call it three things. I'm going to wait for price to either break this 1786 area, wait for price to pull back into the area, and have resistance actually be established. Once resistance is actually established, then I'll actually look to take price short, probably back down into that previous area I was talking about. So 1760, let's call it 1760, around that area. So that's option one when it comes to gold. Again, like you want to look at both perspective of things. You don't want to just be so stuck on one bias. Now, if gold were to come up to 1797, show me some rejection, I would also look to go short here as well, and then look for price to continue to trade lower. I wouldn't really look to take a trade anywhere in between this area here, just because again, right now I'm a little bit more short biased, so I'm only going to look for short trades, which would be taking a short here or taking a short in this area down here. And last but not least, what I'd be looking for with gold is for gold to potentially, if price breaks above this 1797 area, what I'll wait for is a retest, wait for support to be established, and look for price to come back up into 1813. I don't think that's going to happen, but again, the markets are unpredictable. They could do whatever they want. This is why I like to position myself and have a plan ready for, if price does this, then I'll react this way and I'll wait for this, right? So these are the three main things I'm going to be looking for with gold. These are the two trades I'm going to be taking for the shorts, which would be a break and retest of this area, a retest of this area, maybe even, if price does go long and break and retest of that area back into 1813. I don't think that's going to happen just because the way the weekly is actually forming. But again, these markets can be very unpredictable at times. I do see gold overall continuing to go back down, probably to the 1750 area, looking at it from a weekly perspective. But obviously on the daily time frame, the 4-hour time frame, for that to even happen, gold has to break this 1786 level. If it breaks the 1786 level, then we'll definitely see gold probably come back down into the 1750 area. But then, price obviously has to break the 1765 area. So these are all areas you want to pay attention with on gold. Now, silver is a little bit different. So if we look at the weekly time frame on silver, silver's kind of been consolidating or bouncing off this major support level, being this daily 22 level over here for the last few months, since July practically. Silver's been bouncing off of that area. So I'd want to see how price reacts over the next few days on this area. Obviously, if price has a big bullish engulfing candlestick here, I'm going to continue to look for price to trade long, probably back up to this weekly area, where I'll wait and then see look for what price is actually going to do from this weekly area. Really though, there is a big loss of momentum here. You notice the rejection of that area as well. So there's not too much detail. So I'm going to go down to the 4-hour time frame, and even then, there's not a lot of detail here as well. We just see kind of a big rejection of this daily level of support. I don't want to see how the lower time frames start to play out, because if we start seeing lower time frame bullish structure, then we could actually see price continue to actually push up. And then again, form that bullish engulfing. So silver, I would kind of stay away from, even though my initial bias is to look to actually buy, since we are at a major level of support. You have to remember, markets tend to repeat themselves. The only thing is there's not a real strong buy confirmation right now here on the daily time frame. My buy bias would significantly increase if silver actually pushes down, then comes back up and has another big rejection on this current day's candlestick, which we can then expect the next following day to be bullish engulfing, which we would then look to actually buy that area. But again, like, this is a huge move to the downside back into this area of support, which at this point in time, silver, I'm just going to wait for. As of right now, I don't really see a really good trading opportunity. I don't want to put like good money behind risking. Now, GJ is a little bit different. So if we look at GJ on the weekly time frame, what we could see here initially is kind of just an indecisive candlestick here. So price went up, price went down, and ended up closing somewhere in the middle. So it's a pretty neutral candlestick. So it's kind of like an either way. Price can either go up, price can either go down. Now, if we look at the levels GJ is currently trading at, so clearly these two white lines are more major levels of resistance, major levels of support as well, right? GJ is currently trading at that area, and Friday's daily candlestick actually rejected this area so far. So there's two ways you can look at it, right? You can look at it as GJ broke structure here and price came down and now is forming a lower high point. Or you can look at it from a bullish side of things, where you could pull out a fib from this point to this point and see that GJ's pulled back almost 6.8% of the way. Now, if GJ maintains under this white horizontal line, which is resistance, just by zooming out and looking at it, where we then had a big rejection and a big sell-off right after rejecting that area, we could definitely see GJ go down as long as it maintains under this area. The thing is, if you look at 4-hour market structure, what we see is price slowly forming higher lows and price also forming higher highs at this point in time. So it's kind of a little bit on the side of, I would want to wait and see what price action does. Again, it's still very early too. It's only 9:40. We'd want to definitely wait and see what price does over the next few hours, where price could potentially be trading at. Let's check RSI. There is some RSI divergence here, but I would want to wait for a stronger sell confirmation. So let's say this 4-hour candlestick closes, I'd want to wait for a bearish engulfing at that point in time to really make a decision and say, hey, I'm actually going to take a short, probably back down to this 153,900 level, where we saw major support on this 4-hour time frame come into play. If price breaks that area, then I'll look for price to come down to 153,112. But if GJ actually breaks above this area and continues to trade higher, I'll expect it to come to this previous level of structure over here. The only way I'll take a trade on these buys is if price comes back down, retest, and comes back up to this area, where this will be my initial target. I am still a little bit short bias on GJ just because we're trading under this major level of resistance, which is 155, which is an area where I had said I wanted to sell GJ previously. Now we could also pull a Fibonacci from this point to this point and see that prices pull back a little bit more than 38.20% of the way from this initial impulse to the downside, which is better than pulling back 23.6%. But one thing that I was stating in, I think like a few webinars ago, was that really for me to want to look to sell GJ again, it would be in this area up here, which would be 155, which would be the best level to look to actually go short at. Just because the way the daily time frame formed around this area a few months ago in June. Notice how price had a big break to the downside, pulled back up all the way to 155, then had another sell off where it sold off for the last like 4 or 5 days and then continued to go all the way back down to 149,500. So I want to wait what GJ does over the next few hours. It definitely could reject this area and continue to go down because this daily is still pretty bearish. So we could see that pullback right here, and then we could see price from that 3-leg extension to the downside. If that's the case, we'll see price come down probably to 152. And if price breaks that area, we'll come down to 150 flat. So again, right now it's all a waiting game. There's no like real setup where I'm like, yeah, I'm definitely going to do this. It's kind of an either or right now. So if price breaks above 155, I'll wait for the retest and look for a rejection. If price rejects this area, then most likely I'm going to look to short back down to 153,900 is at the level, which is roughly like 100 pips away. And the thing is, right, even looking at short right now, it really wouldn't even be the best option. We'd really want to wait for that 4-hour time frame to form that bearish engulfing candlestick. Even then, what I'd also want to see with this probably 30-minute market structure is probably something like this, where price does this, gives me that lower low and that break. So initially has a high, has a higher low, lower high, then lower low, which would be a nice confirmation for price to actually come down to 153,900. So those are the setups that I'm going to be waiting for over the next few hours. Oh my God, there's 20 people in the waiting room. I didn't even notice. So those are going to be the setups I'm going to be waiting for over the next few hours. Again, right now, it's literally all just a waiting game. So for those of you guys who have any questions, I'm going to be answering questions for about 30-ish minutes. So let me know. All right.
Raul, could you break down gold?
I literally broke it down. Basically, what I said was based off the weekly closure, right? Gold had actually closed under 1797, which is an area of support. And now that it's closed under support, I would like to see resistance form at this area. So I can actually short price probably back down into 1765, which is this area over here. Basically is what I'll be waiting for. If gold breaks above 1797, I'll wait for the retest of that area and look to buy it back up to 1813. So it's going to be one of the two. Maybe even if price breaks under, wait for the retest and look for price to come back down to 1765. Basically is what I said. If you want like the more like in-depth breakdown, you could watch the recording. I'll post it literally right after the webinar. So
Nice, thanks, bro.
anybody else have any other questions?
Hey, Raul, how you doing, brother?
Yes.
I have a question. How do you calculate the indices? I was kind of like playing with it, and it seems like one lot is extremely high for if I have a 50K account. How do you get, yeah.
So did you see the risk management indicator that I put in the chat?
Yeah, is that the one FX, the one that you put in there? Because I was looking, hold on, the position size FX.
Yeah, position size calculator.
So, yeah, this guy right here.
No. Where did I post that? Okay, so if you check on the Discord, you go to the announcements tab. I posted a position size MT4 indicator. They also offer an MT4.
Oh, okay.
So just import that indicator onto your MetaTrader. And when you go and you set it up, it'll tell you how many lots to do based off of a certain percentage risk that you're looking to do. So the way the indicator works is it measures current price. So let's say current price action is right here for gold, right? You're going to input your stop loss and you're going to input your take profit. Really, your take profit doesn't matter, but it'll tell you the risk reward ratio. Let's say with gold, you put a stop loss right here, right? And you put a take profit down here. It'll show you two horizontal lines after you've inputted your levels, right? So obviously it's an indicator on your MT4, so it'll know what account balance you have. If you want to risk 1%, let's just say you have a $50,000 account, right? It'll tell you, okay, you have pretty much 50 grand in your account. You want to risk 1%, that's $500. Your well, let's kind of do this. Actually, it's probably better. Let's do like a 50 pip stop, right? Easier math, top of my head, right? It'll tell you, okay, well, based off of your stop loss and your account balance and what risk parameters you set on the indicator, it'll say, okay, well, you have a 50 pip stop on gold, you have a $500 maximum loss limit per position. So you're looking to risk, I don't know, one lot. Basically, it'll tell you. And it'll tell you the same thing for indices, gold, or currencies.
Oh, sweet, sweet. Okay, and that won't work for the phone. Like you can just have it on your phone.
Oh, it's for your computer.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you, brother.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, that position size calculator will come in so clutch.
Sweet.
Yo, Raul, I don't know if I missed the gold breakdown, but I see on gold, on the 4 hour, it's like it is in a huge downtrend, but then that is a level where it looks like there's buying pressure.
Yeah, so pretty much what I said was, there was a big bearish reaction, right? Weekly time frame closed under major support, which is 1797. So for me to want to sell, I'm going to wait for two things at this point in time. For price to come back up into 1797, where I'll wait for resistance and then look to short, right? Or if I want to sell, also I'll wait for price to break this support level, or this general area right here, right?
Yeah.
Wait for price to break it, retest it, look for that rejection, and then look to short again. So that's how I'm going to take the shorts on gold. It's going to be one of those two.
Yeah, because I was like, I know the trend is your friend, but like in this point, it looks like there's a lot of buying pressure in that area, and if and what you said, for it to take a sell, you pretty much has to break under that resistance that it has right there.
Yeah, the support. Yeah, that's basically what I want to wait for. If you don't know what to do, the best thing to do is always just wait.
Yeah, no, if I don't see a setup and I can't really like determine where the trade's going, I just rather not trade it, go to another pair.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, thank you, man.
Yeah. Anybody else got any other questions?
You break down GU.
Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
Can you break down GU?
I was looking at GU earlier. The thing is, I was expecting like some form of like an inverted head and shoulders here on this weekly time frame. But the fact that GU closed back under this major level being 1.34311, it looks like we could indicate for shorts. Notice how price already came up and rejected it once. So GU, I'm going to be expecting shorts again. I would like to see another retest of the level up here before looking to go short back down into this hour time frame right here. If price breaks that, then we could actually see GU continue to drop. And why I said the hour time frame was because there's this level right here. So I would like to see GU retest this area. If we get another confirmed rejection, I'll look to short. You can also wait for maybe like, this will take a lot longer to set up, but like a break retest of this area right here, like kind of what happened over here, and then look to short back down into December's low over here. So that's one perspective. The other perspective is, looking for GU buys, which it's pulled back 618 and is rejecting it. I wouldn't personally look to buy GU unless it breaks back above this zone right here. Once it breaks back above, again, same concept. Wait for it to pull back into it, look for that rejection, and then look to buy it back up. Basically is what I would wait for with GU.
Thank you, bro.
Yeah. Anybody else?
Yeah, I got a quick question. So I'm in your Cygnus group, and I finished your course, and I'm trying to match like how and why you get into why you call the trades you trade.
I had said in the Discord previously that I'm not the only one in the signal room calling signals. Because if I dedicate all my time to the signal room, I'm not gonna have the energy to dedicate it into here, which obviously my priority is day trading institution. Not the
Oh,
signal.
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, Raul, can you explain the paper cutting a little more in detail, like how it affects your trades and stuff?
Say it again.
Can you explain paper cutting in a little more detail, like how it affects your trade and stuff?
That's a pretty in-depth question. There's, I mean, many topics, but essentially what you're doing when you're paper cutting your account, I'm just gonna put a random example out here, right? Don't take it so literal in terms of like this setup, but let's say I wanted to short, let's say I was short GU over here with a stop loss up here, right? Actually, let's do a little bit of a, maybe a better example. Let's say for some reason I shorted GU right here, my stop was way up here, right? Maybe adjust this, right? So I took a short right here, right? And price went up in my favor or went against me right away. And essentially what I'm doing is every time price goes into drawdown a little bit, right, which is pretty much all of this area here, I'm closing the trade early. And let's just say this is like halfway to my stop loss. So if I'm risking $100, I just lost 50 right here. I just lost another 50 over here. I just lost another 50 here and probably even another 50 over here. So by the time you look at it, I just lost $250 when my overall stop loss up here, which is here, is only $100, right? And most of the times, you know, you'll probably get right back in and the trade goes in your favor and you don't even make back that loss because of the amount of times you've closed the trade so early, just because you're letting your emotions get in the way of letting the market fluctuate, because we're not always going to be right away. And even if we are right, price isn't going to go in our direction all the time right away. There'll be times where price goes in your direction right away. There'll be times where price consolidates how it does over here. There'll be times where you're one pip away from stop loss and price goes in your favor, right? This is why you have to allow price to fluctuate, and you need to make sure your stop loss is wide enough where it's not, what's the right word here? Where it's not, what's the right word? It's really
Too consuming.
no, where it's not counterproductive is the word, right? Because if your stop loss is too big, you're being counterproductive by killing your risk to reward ratio. But if your stop loss is too small, you're being counterproductive by not letting the market, not giving the market enough room to breathe and enough room to fluctuate. Therefore, you know, stopping out of a position potentially early and then price going in your favor. So essentially what you're doing by paper cutting your account is, you know, you're cutting your loser right away. Essentially, you've done that so many times on one position, you didn't allow the market to fluctuate because you let your emotions get the best of you. By the time you look at it, you closed out a $50 trade 5 times and you've lost $250 when your initial loss was set at $100, and you would have never lost those $100 if you would have just stuck to your stop loss. So essentially that's what paper cutting is.
Okay, man, I understand now. Thank you.
Yeah, so you just, again, like before you enter a trade, you need to be okay with losing the amount of money that you're risking before you place that position. And if you're genuinely not okay with losing $1,000 on that specific position, if you have the capital, then you're essentially just going to end up paper cutting your account. That's not going to be the case for everybody, but that was the case for me, and that's something that I wanted to bring up to people, because obviously, you know, people, we all have, you know, genuinely very similar experiences.
That was one of my biggest problems. That sounded like me right there, but I had to learn to move past it.
It's definitely a difficult one, because paper cutting and over leveraging will blow your account one day.
For sure.
It's definitely a tough one to overcome. I'm not gonna lie. It took me a few months to get over that.
Yo, Raul, this is more like a psychological question, to the sense, like, what do you, okay, let's say I put in my trade on my NT4 and price doesn't go my way automatically. Usually I start stressing and I start like doubting myself, like start second thinking my initial analysis. What's your biggest recommendation for that? So because I try like to leave it and not like, start paper cutting because I know that's a huge way to like blow your accounts. So what do you recommend most in the fact to like avoid that stuff where it's like, yeah, where you're
Um,
just like in that level of just like you're doubting your analysis after you put in your trade?
yeah. So the thing is, I gotta know a little bit more about information. How do you trade? Are you scalping? Are you day trading? Do you hold to your targets? Like,
Most of the time, what I'm doing is I hold my trade till it hits TP. Usually, when what I try to do is trade at least to get a 2-to-1 to at least double my money.
yeah,
So
double your risk.
in that sense, yeah, double my risk. So I'm trying to, you get me? Like I
Yeah.
try not to put my stops either too small or too big, because sometimes I want to give the markets breathing room, but at the same time, I don't want to give it too much. Where in the sense I'm really, really messing up my risk to reward.
Yeah. So in a situation like yours, one thing that definitely helped me was literally just closing my MT4 and walking away, coming back maybe in an hour and a half, and looking at what the markets did. Like if you trade like an hour time frame, come back in an hour or two and see what the markets did. Because again, like when we set a stop loss, that's where we say this trading setup is now invalid. Right? So you staring at the screen isn't going to validate or invalidate the trading setup. It's what price
Yeah,
is.
I just read the chat. Like Alex says, set and forget.
Yeah, literally. You have to do something very similar to that. So
I
if
try going playing like Warzone and stuff just to get
yeah,
it off. Just like I'm
yeah,
done. I'm done. Like I'm just
just
try to take my mind off it.
yeah, because we're holding for trades for hours, right? Some of our
Yeah.
setups will take 4 to 5 hours to play out. So you don't need to be staring at every single tick. Just come and check back on the market every hour. Every eight
Okay.
close. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Raul.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
All right, guys, there's like
Real quick.
10 minutes left in the webinar, so whoever wants to get your questions in.
Yo, Raul.
What's good, bro?
So I know you trade in London. What is your like average sleeping like when you trade London? Like what time do you wake up and like I know you said that you take naps in for London, but like exactly how is it you throwing your naps in and stuff like that?
Sometimes I take naps. Sometimes I have to work on, other projects that I have going on. Most of the times I'm just up all the way till London. I'll go to sleep, if either the trade hits take profit or not. Maybe move my stops to break even. It just depends on the setup. Like it just really depends. Normally I'm up until the trade is closed. That's kind of what's normal for me. Or if the trade I know is going to take maybe, another 6-7 hours to play out, then I'll go to sleep, wake up, the New York session, check on the trade, go back to sleep, wake up again, check on it like every 45 minutes, every hour. It just, it varies night by night. Normally though, 1-2 o'clock is when I start my pre-market analysis, which I do it again. And then, if I don't have an entry by 1-2 o'clock, then I'm looking to enter around 3 o'clock. If I don't have an entry by like 4:30, then I probably won't even trade.
Got it. Thank you, man.
Yo, Raul, do you use alerts?
Yeah, I do.
Like, so you'll set the alert to your zone where you're looking to enter, and
Pretty much. So I'm not always staring at the charts. So if I don't set alerts, price hits the area where I want to get in, I could potentially miss it. So
now I just started using that, and it goes to my app, and that helped me a lot. I just started doing that.
yeah, for sure. So you don't really miss your trade setup. And if price does go to your area, then great. You hop back on the computer, you hop back on the charts. If price doesn't go to your area, then you never had a setup anyways.
Your role. Do you know when you're looking for entries, would you usually enter from like M15 or M5, or do you enter from like M30 or what?
30 minutes. 30 minutes is like probably my favorite time frame to make an entry.
Okay, break down GJ.
It's good.
Can you break down GJ?
Yeah. Basically what I said with GJ is if we look at it on a daily time frame, this is an area where I would be expecting GJ to actually go short from. with this impulse. The weekly time frame last week formed an indecisive candlestick. Basically, what I'm going to be waiting for is if GJ gives me a rejection here, then I'll look to go short back down into this area 153,900. If GJ breaks above, I'll wait for the retest, look for price to come back into this area here. I'll only take the trade if the risk reward ratio makes sense. So it's either going to be look for price to reject this area into 153,900, or wait for price to break, retest, look for it to come here. And if it continues to go long, look for it to come up here. It's basically what I'm waiting for.
Okay. Appreciate you, bro.
Yeah, you can watch the full breakdown though when I post it on the thing.
Would you
Yo.
wait for a break and retest on the 4 hour or 1 hour?
Probably the 4 hour, just to be a little bit safer in this area. The thing is, like, the thing is, you know, GJ ran on the 4 hours making higher lows and it's making higher highs. But then, you know, you go to the daily time frame, it's the big impulse to the downside, you know, and we're still trading under resistance. So as long as GJ stays under resistance, I'll look for price to go short. Once it starts breaking above, I'll look for price to go long. Thing is, like, it could go long London session and break back under and go short New York. So, you know, things vary, things change over the matter of hours.
Yo, how do you feel about the 4 hour on gold? I have 1788 as a major support level on my chart. It closed under, well, it closed with a long wick at the bottom, bearish, and then and then it pushed back up. It's kind of sitting on that support level right now.
Yeah, push back up. So I'd be very cautious to actually go short in this area here. Basically, what I said was I'd like to see a break, retest, and for price to go short, or for price to pull back up into 1797, where I'll wait for rejection and then look to go short at that point.
All right, I got a 17. Yeah, I got that range up until like 1800 too.
Yeah. Basically.
Raul, how does the spreads work on FMS?
Which ones?
The spreads on FMS.
What about them?
How do they work?
What do you mean?
Like, I'm sorry. I mean, like, when I apply for my account on FMS, you guys are gonna give me an account for MT4, right?
Correct.
So what broker do I use? Or
Well, they give you the account, so the brokerage is already linked.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. And are the spreads like really big or not that much?
It depends on the broker, you know. Personally, from my experience, the spreads are not very large. No.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yo, Raul, actually, on the topic of FMS, I had a question about like how often do they do payouts? That just a general curious question.
To be honest, it's not the department that I handle. I know there has been a few payouts recently, even with the payment processor being down. So they haven't been able to accept new clients.
Okay. All right. Thank you, man.
So,
Hey, Raul, somebody in the comment section was trying to ask a question, but he doesn't have a mic.
let me see what you say. I don't have a mic. But what could be a good tip for some scalpers? Can anyone ask things? So pretty much when you're scalping, you know, typically like you're on like a way lower time frame, like a 30-minute, 15-minute. Thing is, I don't want to give tips for scalpers because I'm not a scalper, but you can apply the same foundation of really any break and retest. And you want to focus mainly on more like these intraday levels, if that makes sense. So like if you're scalping on like a 30-minute, you know, you focus on this area right here, you'd focus on, you know, that area right here, and you'd focus on this area right here. So if price rejects this area, you look for it to go to this area. It's the same concept, just on way smaller time frames. That's how I would do things. Basically. Yeah. So the webinar is about to end in a minute. I do apologize for a shorter webinar, but as you guys can kind of see, the Wi-Fi is a little bit better now. We'll have our normal like length webinars tomorrow. I'm going to post a recording right now for those of you who missed the initial breakdown. But yeah, let me stop the recording. So I appreciate you guys for